Welcome to this week's edition of the NFC West Mixtape. This is where Rob Guerrera of the Gold Standard Network and I take a look all around the NFC West division, one that we both agree is the best division in football right now. We'll take a look back. We'll go over the second half of the round-robin tournament that the NFC West had, the winner's bracket. The Rams, of course, best the Seahawks. Sam Darnold with his 4 interceptions. We'll talk about that matchup and what we think those two teams look like moving forward. And then the 49ers welcome Brock Purdy back with an easy win against the Cardinals. We'll look ahead to what the schedules look like for these two teams and how we think this division might shape up going down the stretch. We'll go into the intro now and then right into our conversation. I'll see you at the end. This is Seahawks Forever.
Welcome to the Seahawks Forever podcast. In-depth analysis on everything Seahawks. And now, here's your host, Dan Viens.
Week 12 of the NFC West mixtape is underway. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera from the Gold Standard 49ers podcast, alongside Dan Viens from the Seahawks Forever podcast. This is the show where we break down everything happening in the NFL's, I'm going to say it, best division in Week 12, Dan.
It's got to be. I think it still is. It's, other people will make arguments, but I think all the numbers back it up. I just can't believe it's Week 12. It seems like just yesterday the Niners and Seahawks were playing in Week 1. It's just amazing how fast it goes by.
Thank God Week 1 went the way it did for the 49ers. I'll say that because I want no part of your Seahawks right now. And let's start right there, Dan. We'll break this down. I was so looking forward to Rams Seahawks. I was actually mad that it was on at the same time as the 49ers game because I just wanted to watch it because I really thought that those two teams are playing at such a high level. I've watched the game now. I'll get to my thoughts in a minute, but what's your reaction? Huge game for the Seahawks, huge game for Sam Darnold. He throws the 4 interceptions. What were your biggest takeaways?
I think my biggest one was that they're just not quite ready for that moment yet. There was a couple of moments before the game where the Seahawks general manager, John Schneider, is always interviewed on the field right before the game on radio by Steve Rabel, who does their play-by-play. And he was talking about the concept of it's just another game. And he literally said, I don't know how anyone can look at this game and feel that way. These guys have had our number. We have to get to a point where we're beating these guys. It's a big deal. Meanwhile, Davante Adams right before the game says, just another game. It's no bigger than anything else. We can't get overly hyped about it. And you could feel it early on. I thought the Seahawks were tight, and I thought the way that they managed their game plan was, I think that they overthought things, and instead of just kind of relaxing and doing what they do best, and yet they still had a chance to win it at the end with all the turnovers and all the weird offensive play calls and scheming that we saw from Clint Kubiak. It's one of those games that's hard to look back on, but it's valuable to look back on. And you won't have to worry about watching the rematch because that'll be on Thursday Night Football in a couple of weeks.
There were a lot of things the Seahawks did well in this game. I thought Seattle did a tremendous job of holding on to the football in terms of time of possession. Obviously, I know they had the turnovers, but damn, did they hang on to the ball. The Rams had 1 possession in the second quarter, and they gained 1 yard on that possession. Yeah. The entire second quarter of the game, I thought that was great, a great job by Seattle. But what the hell is Mike Macdonald thinking, Dan? You kick field goals of 30, 22, and 29 yards. Go for it. Stop kicking field goals. Field goals are failures. I thought he was way too conservative in the game. The Rams go for it on 4th down when it looks like they're going to get stopped, and they ultimately punch it in the end zone. And this just in, touchdowns are worth twice as much as field goals.
I think it's a reflection of how they still just don't trust the run game yet, especially in the red zone. It's just not good enough. And so you have to throw down there if you're going to convert those 3rd downs. And the way the Rams were defending the Seahawks passing offense, I just think it was a matter of trust. We thought that Mike Macdonald was going to be more of that modern coach. He does believe in analytics. They do follow the numbers. He has gone for it. He's been more aggressive on 4th down than his predecessor was. And yet it still seems like there are, already this season, there's 3 or 4 games where that's been part of the narrative. Now, it hasn't hurt them as badly in some of their games when they've chose to take the conservative approach. And yet, it did still put them in position to win the game at the end with another field goal would have been the fifth one from Jason Myers. I'm with you. You'd like to see the aggressiveness. I just don't think they trust that offense to be able to get the tough yards in the red zone against a good defense. And for all the improvement that we've talked about on the offensive line with this team, and it is tangible, only 10 sacks through 10 games. That would shatter the team record for all-time least number of sacks in a season. You have to go back to 1977 when they were only playing 14 games for them to even come close to that. And yet they still don't get pushed when they need to, and they have trouble running the football when the other team knows that you might run the football. There's signs of progress. I thought Ken Walker had maybe his best game overall on Sunday, and there's indications now that he's going to get a bigger role. But I think it just, again, I'll go back to my original point. The Rams have been here, done that. Even though they've sort of torn down aspects of this team and built it back up, the key players and coaches and they've experienced this before. They expect to be where they are. Seahawks have the third youngest roster in the league, and they had a lot of turnover on offense. This is still new-ish. And I felt like maybe the most valuable thing to come out of this game is now they really know what it feels like, and hopefully we'll see them build on that as they move forward.
That's a real thing. It is just because there are some games that are litmus tests. They just are. Like, depending on where you are in your team building, there's a difference between thinking you can win and knowing you can win and going out and actually winning. And it takes time to build up that belief. And the way you do it is by learning from these experiences and then ultimately winning these games when you get a chance. Last Seahawks note on this one I want to ask you about. Over the last 2 years, Sam Darnold against everybody else that's not the Rams, 21-4.
Yeah.
Against the Rams the last 2 years, 0-3. And he has looked his worst in those Rams games. Are the Rams in Sam Darnold's head? Are you worried about if you had to play them? Obviously, you play them again. And if you were to play them in the playoffs?
It happens. We've seen historically over the last 10 years, I went back and looked at some, Josh Allen can't beat the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson can't beat can't beat the Chiefs. Peyton Manning couldn't beat Tom Brady. There are certain circumstances where those things happen. I think it has more to do with two factors. I think Chris Shula is really good at his job and is probably going to get a bigger job this offseason. I think it's certainly trending that way. Very, very good. But also that Rams defense is good. I think we can stop talking about how their secondary can be picked on, that's the weakness of the defense. I just saw a graphic today. They're the third least expensive defense in the league as far as payroll goes. And yet they're fast. They're physical. We've criticized him in the past for things like, well, they don't pay their inside linebackers. That's why they let Ernest Jones go, right? But then they find a guy like Nate Landman.
Oh, I hate that guy.
The scrap heap, right? And those corners. They went out and traded for Roger McCreary at the trade deadline. He didn't even play on Sunday. They're getting the most out of those guys. Emmanuel Forbes was a first-round bust. They've resurrected him. They're getting quality snaps out of all those guys. Their safeties, Cam Kinchins, who had 2 of the 4 interceptions, was a guy that the Seahawks looked really hard at in the draft last year. He was a 30 visitor to VMAC. The knock on him coming out of college, the reason he slipped to the second round wasn't very fast, couldn't run. Well, he sure looks fast on the field. And I think it's because the way they use him and he knows where to be. I think it is a situation where they absolutely know how to attack that offense and how to take away what Sam Darnold does best, which is middle of the field. And a little bit of maybe Clint Kubiak and Sam Darnold not pivoting from that quickly and effectively enough. And oh, by the way, all 4 of those interceptions were impacted by pressure. The offensive line is still an issue.
And for the Rams, I give them credit because I have not seen a defense slow down that offense the way Seattle slowed down the Rams. And they only scored 21 points in the game. And Sam Darnold had a huge hand in helping set the Rams up.
They had to go 28 yards to score their first 2 touchdowns.
Matthew Stafford had fewer than 100 yards passing, I think, in like the third quarter of the game. Like I have not seen that many teams slow down a Sean McVay offense like that. Now, I also give the Rams a ton of credit. This is a quote unquote clunker for them, and they still won it. And good teams win their clunkers. That's what I always say. Just when I think that they're a little too dependent on, Puka Nacua or a little too dependent on Devontae Adams, now they're using the 3 tight ends and they're getting really good, I don't want to say mileage, but production, let's say, out of that formation and out of those guys. The Rams just continue to impress me, and they did it again Sunday.
And I think my final takeaway is, let's just to piggyback off of that. If there was any skepticism that the success the Seahawks defense had through the first 9 games, the opponents they were playing and some of the offenses they were playing, some of the quarterbacks they were playing, I think that can be put to rest. I mean, this defense is absolutely legitimate because they did things to that Rams offense, as you said, that they've never been able to do before. They've never been able to handle them on third down. They've never been able to take the middle of the field away from Matt Stafford before. They pressured him constantly. They took Davante Adams out of the game. And while they gave up a couple of explosive runs in the first quarter, they then shut down that run offense that's such a big part of what Sean McVay does now. I think that's something that you can carry forward. I'm not necessarily a believer that there's such a thing as bad losses, but I think when you're a young ascending team trying to become something, you can take more positives than negatives away from a loss. I think maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think that's the case here. The only thing that makes me nervous is there's way too many big name pundits and analysts out there saying the same thing and saying, well, I think Seattle's a better team despite the loss. They need to shut up. I don't want to hear that.
Look, you quarterback threw 4 interceptions. You had a ball in the air with no time left on the clock that would have won you the game. So I'm sure there's a lot of people in Seattle saying
touchdown called back from Kenneth Walker on a ticky-tack holding call. Touchdown pass to Rashid Shaheed. Great play by Emmanuel Forbes.
Yes.
The ball was just slightly underthrown, but a great play by him. Yeah, it was certainly that type of game.
I can't wait for these teams to play again. I would love to watch another game, and obviously we'll get that. It'll be in Seattle. That has to make you feel better. Although it's basically, there were audible cheers for the Seahawks at multiple points in that game, despite it being in LA.
Yeah, there was one moment after you could hear the Seahawks chants through the broadcast copy where Greg Olsen, where Cooper Kupp caught a ball, and you hear the Coop, and Greg Olsen goes, "Oh, the Rams fans, missed their old." No, it wasn't the Rams fans; it was the Seahawks fans that were there.
Yeah,
they were cheering for their guy. Yeah.
There's no Rams fans. It's comical.
I've never been very good about planning for Christmas and giving gifts. And I feel like the older I get, the worse I get at it. And Christmas is fast approaching, so I'm already starting to stress out about it. But Omaha Steaks makes gift giving really, really simple. We all have people in our lives that love eating steak, right? I see the demographics of my channel. I know the breakdown. I know that there are a bunch of you out there that love eating steak. And after all the turkey that you have at Thanksgiving, it's nice to switch it up as you head into December, right? Well, right now, Omaha Steaks is going to make that easier than ever for you. It's their Sizzle All the Way sale. You're going to get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And they're going to take another $35 off at checkout for using the promo code FOREVER. It's one of the benefits you get of watching this channel is deals like this. Here's what you get from Omaha Steaks. 100% USDA certified steaks, and they have every cut you could ever imagine. And when it comes to gift giving, any order placed by 6 p.m. Eastern time ships out that day. And every bite of every one of those steaks is guaranteed 100%. They're individually cryopacked, delivered to your door in a cold case. They've been in business for over 100 years. I know Omaha Steaks well. They've been in my family since I was a kid. And just a couple of years ago, my older brother gifted me with a case of Omaha Steaks. Unbeknownst to me, total surprise on my birthday, just showed up at my doorstep. I enjoyed every bite, and I know you're going to as well. Again, their Sizzle All the Way sale, go to omahasteaks.com. They're going to give you 50% off site-wide and an additional $35 off at checkout for using the promo code FOREVER.
But nonetheless, the Rams do get the win. Now, this week, the Rams will play Tampa Bay. Yeah. Seattle plays Tennessee. Here's our breakdown of that game. Congratulations, Seahawks, on a well-earned. I'm sorry, but they're going to kill. That defense is going to just brutalize Cam Ward.
It's a 13.5 point spread right now. Woo! I went and looked at matchup metrics to prepare for a preview show tomorrow, thinking that I'd find something to worry about, and I almost did. They can get after the passer a little bit, even after trading away Draymond Jones, and they're like middle of the pack in some aspects defensively, but they're dead last in just about everything on offense. They're averaging 14. I think they're 12.7 points a game. They're dead last in just about every category: rushing yards per game, passing yards per game. I love me some Cam Ward, and I love his upside. I'm a WSU alum. The arm talent's real. He has no supporting cast, and he's going to be running for his life. And this is also a pissed off Seahawks team that's going to want to take it out on somebody. It's really the perfect bounce back game for them. I feel bad for the Tennessee fans, of which I will be among, because I'm going to the game in Nashville on Sunday.
Hey, that is exactly what I wrote down in my notes. The perfect get right game. Yeah. Just when you're like, oh, we're back on our heels a little bit. We're not as good as we thought. Maybe Sam Darnold is not feeling great about his performance. You get the Tennessee Titans and you get to just wipe all that away. And I fully expect the Seahawks to do it. I fully expect the Seahawks to cover the spread. And I'm not trying to short shrift anybody here, but come on, it's Seahawks Titans. We know how this one's going to go.
We don't need to spend a lot of time breaking this one down.
I'm much more intrigued with Rams Bucks.
Yeah.
I think this is just going to be a fun, let's go. Let's see Baker and Stafford in a shootout, and let's just see who gets the ball last and who wins. Because I think this could be a 35-30 type of game.
Well, it was 35-32 or 38-35 when the Seahawks and Tampa Bay Buccaneers met in Seattle week 5. Seahawks were missing a bunch of defensive guys, but still they're capable of that. The perplexing thing to me is Tampa Bay's got talent on defense. They got some players over there, and they have a really well-respected, one of the most respected defensive coaches in the league in Todd Bowles. And they had a similar performance last week against Buffalo. Just when it looked like they might, I think they got up early, and then, Josh Allen ends up having a 68-point fantasy day, at least in the league that I own him in. So that worked out well. But they're a hard team to figure out. You'd like to think it's going to be a shootout, but after what I just saw and then watched again and the all-22 and everything else, that Rams defense, I think, is built pretty well to slow down that Tampa Bay offense. As an opposing fan trying to get back into the division lead, you'd like to think the Bucs have a chance. When I looked at the schedule a month ago, I think we've talked about it a couple of times, like that looked like a tougher task for them to have to turn around and play the Bucs. I don't know, because I think now, even though they won Sunday, I think the Rams are going to want to prove some things too. And we saw how they responded to the loss to the 49ers early in the season. And a pissed off Sean McVay is a pretty damn good Sean McVay. And I would expect the Rams to win that game, but I think it could be a real fun one to watch. It's Sunday Night Football, right?
Yes, it is. And the Rams are desperate. The Bucs are desperate. They've lost 3 of their last 4, including 2 straight. They lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Bills. They're now 6-4 on the season. You lose that one, you drop to 6-5. Now I still think they're going to win that division, but you got to win these damn games. Who knows what can happen? So I think they're going to be a little desperate. I'll be fascinated to see if there's anything that Seattle did defensively that Tampa can replicate. Because like I said, I've never seen Matthew Stafford. He's just throwing balls that are not even touched by anybody, just incompletions. It was stunning to me how much he was bothered by the Seattle defense. And we'll see if the Bucs defense can replicate any of that. I still think the Rams are going to win, but I will be sitting there hopeful watching that game. I will be the biggest Bucs fan in the world on Sunday. Well,
I think we all are. Yeah. Anyone who's fans of any other teams in the NFC West. And also I'll be interested to see how Chris Shula schemes for Baker and for that offense. And I'm sure Sam Darnold will be sitting at home watching that as well.
Now, I know 49er fans are watching this. Don't worry. We haven't forgotten about it. We're going to get to the 49ers game in a minute. But first,
an easy win.
A word from Sleeper. Haven't been too many of those for us this year. A word from Sleeper. Speaking of easy, go check out the Sleeper app. It is the easiest app to use for fantasy, for picks. If you want news updates on all the different sports, you get it all with Sleeper. So go and check it out. And if you sign up, you will get a free $20 entry. No deposit needed. Go check it out. Have some fun. And if ultimately you decide you want to make a deposit, great. And we've got 2 options for you. Because if you're a sane, rational, good-looking person, you want to use my code, the 49ers code of the Gold Standard Podcast, GSP. If you are someone that, doesn't like puppies and is not very intelligent, is not good-looking, maybe you want to use Dan's code, which is, Dan?
Forever. And all those things, while they might be true, the puppy thing is way off base.
You can use GSP is my code, Forever is Dan's code, but you still get the 100% deposit match up to $100, whichever code you use. So please go and check out Sleeper. You just pick higher or lower on a bunch of different stat categories. It could not be easier, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. So go check it out. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, let's get to my 49ers, because this was a rare week. We got to see victory formation for the 49ers, and that has not been a thing that has happened much, because usually been white knuckling these victories as we come down the stretch here. But Brock Purdy comes back, and the offense just looks like the offense in a dominant win against Arizona.
Made me look bad too. I said on this show last week that I thought they should stick with Matt Jones as well as he was playing. So I look like an idiot. Not the first time, won't be the last. What did it take him? 9 seconds to get the lead in this game, I think, after the big kickoff return. Brock looked like his old self, didn't look rusty at all. Had the gorgeous touchdown to Kittle early on. Christian McCaffrey just continues to defy all the narratives about his injury history. And the Cardinals, I guess their new approach to life is to throw it 60 times a game and target Michael Wilson 20 times. It still didn't work, but that's a team that's falling apart fast.
I have never seen a team look just less professional. Arizona had 17 penalties for 130 yards in the game. That's the most penalties that franchise has had in a game since FDR was in office. Okay. Like literally, that's not an exaggeration. It's the actual truth. They were the Chicago Cardinals the last time they were that bad. That's how Jacoby Brissett ended up setting the record for completions in the game and throwing for so many yards, because they kept getting pushed backwards. No matter what they did, it was pathetic. It just looked like a team that was mailing it in, not happy to be there, and just wanted to be anywhere but there. And so when you combine that with the fact that the offense looked as efficient as it looked, that's how you end up with a 41-22 victory.
Yeah. And now things get really easy for the 49ers. They have some smooth sledding ahead when you look at the schedule. They get Panthers this week. And the Carolina Panthers they're not the Tennessee Titans. They're not a pushover. Bryce Young had a huge game on Sunday, and they from one week to the next, can put performances together that can scare some teams. But you go Panthers, Browns, who are now starting Shadur Sanders at quarterback, Titans, and then, Colts in week 16, and then Bears, Seahawks. 49, if anyone's counting the 49ers out because they're technically in third place in the division right now, I think that's fool's gold, because the schedule is going to allow them to hang right into it. And I think it's, a few, I don't know, beginning of the season when I looked ahead, and again, this is probably wishful thinking through my Seahawks colored glasses. I didn't think week 18 was going to be meaningful when the Seahawks travel to Santa Clara. I think it's going to be extremely meaningful. There's some incredible football left to be played in this division.
It's the 49ers' job to make it meaningful. This is the opportunity now. If you are going to get to the playoffs, you have to take advantage of what you have in front of you for the next 3 weeks, because Colts, Bears, Seahawks is a finish that looks way tougher than it did when the schedule came out in May. You have to take advantage if you're the 49ers. The Panthers are not a pushover, like you said, but I still think you're better than them. The only team that's worse at rushing the passer than the Niners is the Panthers. And if you don't get pressure on Brock Purdy, he's going to tear you apart. So even though it's not going to be easy, I still think the 49ers should win that game. The Titans game, I skipped the Browns. I'm sorry. The Browns game is going to be tricky because Jim Schwartz always does well against Kyle Shanahan. Kyle, just for whatever reason, he can't pick apart Schwartz's scheme because it's not as predictable as other schemes. So that might be tough. Last time the 49ers played in Cleveland, they lost because Jake Moody missed a 35-yard field goal at the end of the game that would have won it for him. I don't love that game, especially if there's weather. So that one's a little scary, but no excuses, 49ers. You have to win the next 3. Win the next 3, and you'll be 10-4. You'll probably be in with 10 wins, but even if you're not, you only have to win 1 of the remaining 3, and because I think 11 wins in the NFC definitely would get you into the playoffs.
Yeah. Meanwhile, after the Rams game, or after they play the Bucs on Sunday, they go Panthers, Cardinals. So they have a little bit of a reprieve. It's all coming down to those last few weeks, because then they follow that up. Whereas the 4 days before the Seahawks and Rams play on Thursday Night Football week 16, the Seahawks play the Colts. The Rams also play the Lions on that same day. So both a physical football team. So, a couple of I don't want to say easy. I try never to use the word easy when it comes to the NFL, but a couple of favorable weeks for every team now in the NFC West until things get really, really hairy.
The opportunity is there 100% for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those, like you said, that week 18 game, Niners Seahawks is going to be big. Obviously, Seahawks Rams, that rematch is going to be absolutely massive. But this division is proving out that it's going to be good, and it could be good for years to come because the freaking Rams have an extra first round pick. Thank you very much, Atlanta Falcons, whose quarterback is now out for the season. That pick is just going to get better and better and better. We might, just when we thought maybe there was a little hope that Matthew Stafford, he's getting old. Who knows how much longer he's going to play? And then what do the Rams do, a quarterback? Well, now they've got ammunition if they want to go get a quarterback in the next couple of years.
I think the future looks bright for all three of ththese teams. I mentioned that graphic earlier about how much money they're spending, payroll money on defense. And all three of those teams, the Rams, 49ers, and Seahawks, are all in the bottom 10 in the league and how much they're spending on defense. And yet they're getting those kind of performances. Obviously, the 49ers, with Bosa out and some of the injuries they've had, haven't had the performance this year that they'd like, but the future looks good. Meanwhile, the Cardinals are in the top 10 in how much money they're spending on that defense, not getting the results for it. Can we root for a three-way tie? Would that be the most fun we could have? Just all the chaos.
Well, I think I would, frankly, because the 49ers have 7 wins. All of them are conference wins.
They
and
get a lot of the tiebreakers.
They only have 1 loss in the division right now, and they have 4 division wins. So, yeah, I would sign for that.
Yeah. Let's do it. It'd be good for the show.
So then what the first, obviously, division tiebreaker is head-to-head. Yeah. Is the second conference record or division record? Or
I believe it's division and then conference. And I think that's how the Rams got in over the Seahawks last year, despite the fact they both had 10 games. It went down to like the 4th or 5th tiebreaker, and I think it's conference.
Would you be disappointed if the Seahawks finished with the same record as the 49ers?
No. This is, in my opinion, and it was going into the season, and I've tried not to let the good start and some of the good things we're seeing on the field change my perception. This is year 1 of what they're building. This reminds me a little bit of 2012 for the Seahawks, where they made the playoffs with Russell Wilson as a rookie quarterback. They lose to Atlanta in the second round of the playoffs on a field goal at the end, but they walked off the field that day knowing, okay, we're going to contend for a while now. And that's what this team feels like. I still think they can do some damage in the playoffs. And while I have said on the record, maybe even on this show, that they're capable of getting to the Super Bowl, I think there's 4 or 5 teams in the NFC that can say that. That might not be realistic. I still see this team that's ascending. I would not in any, I think any fan that would tell you they'd be disappointed by that, it's just passionate bias, right? We're talking Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh and some elite players on offense and some really, really smart minds in that front office and in that coaching staff. No, I would not be disappointed.
One more question for you before we wrap it up. Would you take any team, well, not any team, the Niners, Rams, or Seahawks over the Denver Broncos right now, who are the top team in the AFC?
Absolutely. I respect their defense. I respect Sean Payton. I think, look, I took Bo Nix in my main fantasy league this year. I thought we were going to see a huge second-year bump. He was better than I thought he'd be as a rookie last year. I thought he was a perfect kind of match for Sean Payton and what he wants to do. I don't think in the playoffs, you have to be able, in this day and age, the days of Brad Johnson being able to get you to the Super Bowl are probably over. You have to have a quarterback that can make plays and beat you. I don't think Bo Nix can do that against good defenses in the playoffs. I used to be one of those people that could fall asleep anywhere, anytime. It was awesome. But over the last few years, that's changed. If it's outside noise or neighbors in my building, midnight zoomy cat Olympics, or just the effects of age, it's gotten tougher. For years now, I've had to run a fan for white noise, and I've tried melatonin and sleep aids, but I wake up feeling groggy, and that's no way to start the day. But then I was introduced to the Manta Sound Sleep Mask. And this thing, guys, I'm telling you, this is a game changer. It gives me true 100% blackout and has ultra-thin Bluetooth 5.2 speakers built right into the mask, so I can fall asleep to the sound of music, something I've done since I was a kid. And I'm telling you, the sound quality of these speakers honestly blew me away. I was not expecting them to be as good as they are. And now I don't have to deal with earbuds falling out while I toss and turn. Plus, it's got a 20-hour battery life and can be used without the speakers. You simply remove that outer layer held on by Velcro. So if falling asleep at night or just taking a much-needed nap has gotten tougher for you too, check out the Manta Sound Sleep Mask at mantasleep.com. And if you use my promo code FOREVER, they're going to give you 10% off your purchase. So just go to the description of this video, click the link, use the promo code, and enjoy the best sleep you've ever had.
Would you take the 3 teams in the NFC West over the New England Patriots, who are 9-2?
Oh, yeah. I think they're just so much respect for what they've done. They had an amazing draft. They absolutely nailed that. Love Mike Vrabel. Thought he should have been in the discussion when the Seahawks were looking for a head coach here a couple of years ago. Was a little disappointed that he wasn't. But they're just so young. And again, I think you look at what Chris Shula does to quarterbacks on defense, Mike McDonald, what Robert Saleh can do. Drake May is an elite talent. First time in the playoffs, I would roll the dice with the defensive mind and the defensive talent against a young quarterback anytime.
3 teams in the NFC West or the Indianapolis Colts?
I still don't believe in the Colts. I believe in that running game, and I think Daniel Jones is a nice quarterback. Have we seen them really win a game like the Rams and Seahawks had on Sunday, or like the Rams and 49ers had the first time around? Have we seen them win a game like that against a really good team where some of their strengths are taken away from them and they have to find another way to win and battle it out? If Jonathan Taylor isn't gashing you, can they win that way? I don't know that we've seen that yet. We'll find out about them because they play the NFC West. They play a couple of these teams down the stretch. So we'll find out more. I simply don't buy them yet.
Yeah, they've lost to the Rams on a game where the Colts literally fumbled a touchdown out of the end zone for a touchback. They play the Niners. They play the Seahawks coming up. So we'll get a more accurate measure of the Colts at least. Would you take the 3 NFC West teams over the Buffalo Bills at 7-3?
Keep waiting for you to say Eagles. Oh, man, that's a tough one. They just defensively, they can't stop anybody. I watched that the Bills-Dolphins game in its entirety. I couldn't believe that the Dolphins won that game, that they were able to slow down that offense. They don't have – here's the thing. Again, I question San Francisco's ability to match up against them just because of the injuries on defense. I just don't know if they have enough to really get after Josh Allen and pressure him. But Chris Shula, Mike McDonald, they have no weapons. They just don't have any weapons. And so if you stop James Cook, then really all you're left with is you just try to keep Josh Allen from running for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Right. It's true. It's
I don't mean to be dismissive of all those teams. That's just how strongly I feel about the teams in this division right now.
It's criminal what they have failed to put around Josh Allen. It's unbelievable, like what he's working with there. All right, finally then, my point is basically like the teams in the AFC, I always thought the AFC was like the superior conference. It's not right now. I think the NFC is the superior conference.
And I still don't know what to think of the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know who they are or what they are yet, other than when push comes to shove, if they get into the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes gives you a chance to win every time. It's a little baffling. I think as we sit here today, I think the LA Rams right now are the best team in football, deserve to be talked about in that vein. And yet you have people saying, oh, I think the Seahawks, Daniel Jeremiah, Chris Long, I think the Seahawks are a better team. And the 49ers have beaten them both. So what does that tell you?
All right, let's get to it now, because I hear the city of Philadelphia saying, hello, we're the defending Super Bowl champs. We're 8-2. We're 7-1 in the conference. Even though they all hate each other, Dan, they don't lose.
They don't. They win ugly. I don't know how sustainable that is in the NFL. It's admirable. Every time you count them out, they come back into it. Although we've seen them give up a big lead too against the Rams earlier this season, right? Jalen Hurts just doesn't seem like a guy that can hurt you, pun intended, like he used to be able to with his arm. A.J. Brown is frustrated. Saquon Barkley hasn't been what we saw from him last year. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a pass on that one. If I were on a game show, I would say I'll pass on that one because I kind of put him in the same bucket as the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't really know who they are yet, and I don't know that they're as good as their record.
It is crazy to me that they could have seemingly so much dysfunction and yet win at such a high level.
It helps when you can convert every single third and fourth and short. I'm not being flippant there. It really does. They have found like a cheat code in a sense that, I mean, you just look at there's some teams that's their nemesis. They can't convert on third and short. The Seahawks on 3rd and 3 have been 3rd and 3 or less this year have been terrible. They're one of the top teams in the league on 3rd and long, throwing the football mostly to JSN, but they can't run the football well enough. They're terrible on 3rd and short. Shoot, they got stuffed on a push of their own on Sunday. They tried to get a little tricky with it and take away Robbie Utes, which is dumb. He's kind of the key component of that. But it is such a weapon for them that they can convert every single one of those, because I think you face a lot of those in the playoffs.
It's going to be fun down the stretch to see how it all shakes out. As much as I don't want the season to go by, I do like these playoff games are all going to be so much fun. But don't worry, we will be here every week breaking down the NFC West, breaking down everything that happens. Please like this video, subscribe to both channels, the 49ers Gold Standard Podcast Network and Seahawks Forever Podcast. We promise you will like what you see. As always, Dan, you are an officer and a gentleman.
Always good to talk to you, sir.
We'll see you next week.
See you. Well, what'd you guys think? How do you see the next couple of weeks shaping up for the NFC West? The way the schedule falls, it is interesting. Should the Rams take care of business against the Bucs this week? I don't see either of these teams losing until we get into where they start playing each other again. Certainly the big matchup, Week 16, between the Rams and the Seahawks looming large. Little programming note, we will be taking the week off next week for Thanksgiving. Not going to miss out on much because of how the schedule falls. But of course, stick with me on Seahawks Forever. Follow me on Twitter at Seahawks Forever. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video. And for all of my content, nwforever.com. That'll take you to the Patreon where you can get everything that I do, and it won't have the YouTube ads inserted into it. If you want to support me in any other way, those ways are all listed, linked in detail down in the description, as well as the link to Rob's page if you want to check out what he does as well. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll see you tomorrow on Seahawks Forever as we get ready for the Titans game. But for NFC West Mixtape, we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. Forever and always, go Hawks. Thanks, you guys.